Good day, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning by. Welcome to The Wave. This is your weekly show on all things money. On this show, we get to dissect topics related to personal, family, and business finances. And my hope is that by the time we get to the end of this conversation, you'll be better equipped to make sound financial decisions. Sorry, I got distracted by the fly there. There's quite a lot of them because it's hot today. Anyhow, I'm your host, Miss KK, and welcome. If you are new, thank you very much for stopping by. And please consider clicking the subscription button in the comment below so that you can be notified every time we upload a new video. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you very much for your continued support and interaction in the comment box below. Today, I'm very excited. We are starting a new topic. Up until now, we've been only speaking about personal finances, but I want us to divert a little bit and look at business finances, in particular small business, or rather starting a small business. I see a lot of small businesses struggling and failing to make it, and it's because of certain common mistakes that everyone seems to be making. And I just want us to learn from that so that we can become better at either running the existing businesses that we have, or we can become better at when we enter new businesses. I'm going to give a bit of context of where I come in with the entrepreneurship, so you can also have comfort of where I am when I'm speaking about this entrepreneurship journey. Personally, I have run a few adventures. I have been into poultry farming with my friend Primus. We did it for some time and we exited the industry when the input cost was rising a little bit and we were not really making the amount of money that we were making previously. So at that time, we had to make a judgment call to pull out of that industry after we felt like it was draining money from us. That's number one. Friend of mine and I also ran a fish shop in Chivarongo. That started at the wrong time because we entered the business just before the lockdown and it was very difficult to get stock in and out. People weren't really working. There wasn't movement of people, so that was a bit short-lived and we never really proceeded to actually expand, so that I had also to diverse. On the other hand, on the positive side, my husband and I has been jointly running a driving school. At the moment, we have 3 cars and 2 in Walvish Bay, 1 in Windhoek, called Empower Driving School. I feel like that's a success because we've grown from having 1 car to actually having 3 cars. So that we did quite well. And I have a vending machine that sells airtime and electricity and DSTV subscription services, and that one I'm trying to still grow it, but the commission has been stable for some time now, so I'm really grateful to have that as well. So this is really the background against which I'm going to be conducting this series of entrepreneurship. So I'm going to be drawing from my own personal experience, my own struggles, my own mistakes, and my own success as well, to be able to sort of converse this topic. In addition, I also did a course called Business Analysis and Governance when I was at UCT, where we sort of looked at particular industry, and our aim there was to try and convince an investor to invest in your business given the industry insight that you have and given the sort of recommendation that you're going to be making. So it's not going to be a conversation that we are finishing in one night, but we're going to start it and then obviously in between there talk about other things and also return to it. And especially with this whole concept of side hustles, you must have a side hustle, your single income is not important, it's not enough. It's really important that if you are going to be starting a side hustle, you don't make the mistakes that other people have made already, and you learn from some of the success stories that we are going to be sharing. Okay. So I feel that the number one thing that a lot of small businesses are struggling is because of lack of industry analysis. You tend to start a business simply because you see Christina is running a driving school successfully, or sister is doing a travel agency really well, and you feel like there's an opportunity, and then you commit all your funds to that without doing a proper industry analysis. What the problem with entering an industry when you don't know how the industry works is that your success is likely to be short-lived, or your patient is likely to outrun you before you even recover the initial investment that you made in that business. If you pull out too quickly, you might incur some losses, especially if you had to do some initial capital investment, and you might also lose out on opportunity because you might have just been at that point where your business can now turn around and start making a profit. So you really need to be comfortable before you enter a particular industry. So to avoid this, what are some of the things that you need to be looking at when looking at a particular industry? Number one is you must looking at the barrier to entry or barrier to exit that industry. How easy is it for you to enter that industry, and how difficult will it be for you to exit when you wanted to do that, when you feel like it's no longer worth it? So number one of so many things, obviously there are so many things that you need to consider, but I'm just going to touch on some of them. And what I'm trying to encourage with this is for you to go now pick up further research to say, okay, what is this barrier to entry, what is this barrier to exit that Christina is talking about, so that you can sort of be familiar with what you need to be looking out for. So number one is the capital investment required to enter the industry. Certain industry require low capital, other industry requires less capital. So for example, for the vending machine business, all I needed there was 1,500 for the Kazang machine, and at least I think we started with 2,000 credit, then off I was able to go. Well, compare that to the driving school, where you need to have enough money to buy a small car. So if you had to compare the vending business and the driving school business, the barrier to entry for the vending machine is very low, whereas the barrier to entry for the vending machine for the driving school is very high. But the driving school still has a low barrier to entry when comparing, for example, to an airline business. For if you want to break into the airline business, we all know Namibia is out of business, and there is simply one domestic airline that is sort of monopolizing the industry. So there's an opportunity for everyone to enter the airline business, and they'll make a lot of money. But what is stopping a lot of people to enter the airline industry is because the barrier to entry is just that high. You need a lot of millions to buy aircraft. You need a lot of millions to pay pilot, to pay pilot crew, and all the things that come with operating in that industry. So really, you need to be able to see, will I be able to afford the capital injection, and where am I going to find the capital injection to be able to enter this industry? Another thing is now the barrier to exit. If you want to pick up, how easy is it to be able to pick up and discard everything and move on with your life? For example, in the vending machine, if I want to stop, I could simply just decide, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, sell off my machine if I find a buyer. If I don't find a buyer, I could care less, because I've already made enough commission to recover the initial investment that I made. And for example, compare that to also the driving school. If we don't want to do the driving school anymore, we simply can find another driving school that is willing to acquire the car, sell it off, and off we go. We don't have any physical commitment beyond the driving school car and beyond obviously letting go the instructor. So that is the barrier to exit for both driving school and vending machine is way too low. Compare that to Namibia, for example. The barrier to exit is difficult there, because then what do you do with all this plane? No one really has enough money lying around to buy all this plane. Plus, you probably had other commitments that you have made. Most of these planes were on leasing contract, so you probably have this other contract that you are going to be breaching. And if you exit that industry, you're going to incur a lot of cancellation fee, such that it might not be feasible for you to exit the business. So really, that's all I'm trying to get to understand. What industry am I going in? What are the barriers to entry? How difficult is it for me to enter this industry? And how easy will it be for me to pick up when I eventually feel like it's not worth my while anymore? So that's number one. And number two, which will also be our last point for the day, is the incorrect pricing. Yes, a lot of people get into businesses. Number one, they already lack industry knowledge, and number two, they also don't know the pricing strategy that is being used in that particular industry. I've had a Zoom discussion at some stage where I was talking about the different pricing strategy, and if that is something that you guys are interested, you must let me know so I can do a whole video on different pricing. But in a nutshell, there are what we call entry pricing, there's competitive pricing, there's destroyer pricing, and there's also just skimming. So basically what you need to understand is what industry are you entering and what pricing are they using. There are industry where it's competitive, such that you can't afford to charge more than what your competitors are charging if you don't have any value difference between your product. So if I'm selling, for example, vending machine, if I'm selling airtime on my vending machine, I can't afford to charge for an MTC $5 recharge more than $5, because I'm not adding value to anything. I'm not adding value to that recharge voucher. Plus, why would someone pay $6 for a $5 recharge if there's someone else next to me that is selling the same thing? There's no differentiating factor between the service that I'm offering and the service that the other person is offering to allow the customer to come to me. So if you are entering in a business that is competitive pricing, it's very important to make sure that you make your research and find out how much are your competitors charging, and are you able to survive based on that pricing. Obviously, you don't have to charge, not everyone in the same business has to charge the same thing, because people also have different cost bases. Simply because someone is selling a fat cook at $2, you don't have to sell the fat cook at $2, because this person could be operating from home. They don't have rent, they don't have workers. You might be operating at a rented space, and you're also paying salary. So obviously your cost base is already higher, such that your prices needs to be a lot higher to try and accommodate this, or you need to drive more volume in order to make more profit to be able to cover more of your cost. So that is one of the things that you need to understand. So one of the common pricing is competitive pricing. The other thing is also what we call discounting, or rather not what we call discounting, but understanding the concept of discounts. Because when you are entering the business, you are likely to be desperate for sales, and whoever comes your way, you feel like it's better than not having a sale at all. So what you then end up doing incorrect pricing. And actually this video was inspired by my cousin Tresia. She's recently just started her cookie baking business in Ventic, so I'm going to leave her poster here so that if you want cookies and you're in Ventic, you are free to order with her. So she was complaining to say, yes, she's starting off, and yes, she requires your support, but don't break her business by wanting her to go deliver one box of cookies at Kleine Coupe and you want free delivery. So if you are in a business and you are giving customers freebies, you are going to lose a lot, because number one, you are not even guaranteed continued business from this person, plus you're sacrificing your margin by giving this person a discount. There are really businesses where you can give a discount. For example, in my vending machine business, I can't afford to give anyone discount, because electricity costs what it is. I don't add anything on it, I earn a commission. But in the driving school business, there's a possibility for negotiation, because you are guaranteed that this person will continue coming back for at least until they get their licenses. So if you come to us and you are starting from scratch as a learner, we will give you a discount, because we understand it's a journey. You need to drive so many hours to get you to a point where you are ready to go to your NATIS test. Whereas if you come to us and you are already attempting your NATIS test and you just want to change driving school, we are unlikely to give you a discount, because you are not guaranteeing us future business. So that's exactly what I want us to start when considering pricing. Number one, understand which pricing strategy works in your industry. There are more than competitive pricing. Sometimes you might have to do skimming pricing. Skimming pricing is when you are trying to test the water. If the product is new, you sort of start charging a high price, and then as the product becomes common and more people are offering, you sort of lower down, or depending on how customers are responding, you sort of adjust your prices accordingly. But don't make the mistakes now of going in the industry. Number one, you haven't done industry analysis. Number two, you don't know what industry pricing policy is being used. Number three, you are incorrectly giving discount to your customers. That way you are not doing anything other than hating your business that is already struggling, that already has high costs to absorb at the beginning of its stages, and you are just likely to not last in that business and quit too early. So basically, that's all I wanted to talk about. This is a very broad topic. I encourage you to go and research more about it. So we are going to look more again of other mistakes that people make when starting businesses, so that you can evaluate and see if you are looking to start a business, to avoid some of this, and if you are already making these mistakes, to turn around and say, you know what, I've already made these mistakes, but it's now time to start afresh and become better at managing my money. That's all I had for today. Thank you very much for always dedicating this time with us, and as usual, please consider subscribing, because like that you don't get to miss out on any new video. And for our continued viewers and subscribers, thank you so much. Your support is highly appreciated. Stay safe and